So now the I don't know what slide you have up, but the next slide that I have up is about well, you haven't it up yet, but the benefits of all radio, right? For the person listening, it's a stress reliever, it's entertaining, it's educational, it's informative, it's interactional. People can liaise with them, send in text messages, get requests played, get on air, and get to do different things on the station. I think so. Some of the benefits of local radio is that it is portable. You can have it anywhere, anytime. If you're watching TV, generally it's not as portable, but you can go out into the garden and do your gardening work and you can listen to the radio. You can go for a walk and listen to the radio at the same time. You can hear it anywhere, anytime, anywhere. The other benefits of the local radio is that there is also it allows better engagement within the community. So having a local radio station means you can get more people active and involved in things. It provides a platform for them to engage and consult with whatever is happening in the area. And sometimes people can call in, or if there's an event on, they can come in to the studio and talk directly about it and encourage people to come and attend their events and like that. It's also a platform for activism and campaigns and for supporting local causes and addressing community issues, stuff that's happening in the area that's bothering people. They have a chance to come in and talk about it. For instance, we had somebody recently on the show who's trying to get a place for their child with autism, and they have Facebook campaigns and they have marched around the town, but they've also come in as part of that campaign to chat about what's going on, what's happened, what went wrong, why things didn't work out. And they have now recently got a place, and when then the place that they were promised didn't materialize, they were able to come back on radio and carry on their campaign, and eventually they got the place. Just shows that it can be extremely useful from that point of view. And then radio keeps you up to date on whatever's happening locally. There's lots of things happening all the time. You know, it's very hard to keep track of who does who's what, where, why, when. There's something happening in Ballinasloe tomorrow, some ensemble with poetry reading, and I mentioned that today on the show. So anything that's happening, there's a minister for the estate down in Athlone today involved in an expo about to do with careers. Being able to talk about it on the show, interviewing him on the show meant people knew what was happening in the area. Now, it also allows personal opportunities. Now, there's a distinction between community radio and local radio. It's very easy to get on community radio. All you have to do is ask, nearly. You know, but is that Cameron speaking to me again, is it? Okay, carry on.
If anyone's not speaking, can they please go on mute, because we can hear some background noise.
Diedre, what slide are we on?
I'm on a slide, benefits of local radio, the second one.
The quotes on the benefits.
The benefits of local radio, yeah.
Right, there we go.
Yeah, that's one, yeah. That's perfect. Thanks very much for that. So as I said, it offers personal opportunities. I'm down at the second one from the bottom. So it enables you to build up your confidence. Confidence isn't something you just acquire like that. You get confidence by doing things. And if you can come to the station, to a radio station, and chat and talk, maybe learn new skills and do different things like that, it definitely is a big element of building confidence. One of the advantages of community radio and local radio is it gives you a chance to practice on radio before you go, say, to the national or international stage. It's amazing how every time you do something, a little bit different, every time you practice something, you get better, and it gives you more confidence and it gives you more polish. If you get to know local presenters, and you've come onto the show on a show, so you've got to know the presenter, you got to meet other presenters. It gives you the opportunity, they'll know you and they might be looking for an expert, and gives you a chance to come back on the show to talk about whatever area you're interested. Like, we have people very heavily involved in HR, and anytime there's something new out, they come on the show and they talk about it and they explain all the different 40 pieces or whatever it is of legislation that HR people that if you employ people that you have to use. Also, you can learn incredibly useful skills, particularly in community radio, where you get, I mean, I don't know that I would ever get a chance to go on a commercial radio station. It's very, very difficult, but in a community radio station, I can edit, I can present, I can produce, I can do loads of things that I would never get the chance to do in a commercial radio station. Now, then there's promotional opportunities. The radio offers promotional opportunities. So to increase, and the whole idea of is the local radio is your market, your people. You have a business or you have an event or something like that in the area. Say a Toastmasters event, you want to market it to the people in the area. And local radio offers you the opportunity to promote that business. And obviously potentially to increase the attendance at the events, increase the awareness and the attendance at any of these events. Local radio and community radio can do outside broadcasts, so they could park outside your place of business and attract people by having a show right outside your business. You can use the podcast, like we're a small community radio station, but we produce podcasts where we can. And I had 4 interviews today, of which I had we'll have 4 podcasts tomorrow. And those podcasts can be used to put and promote whatever the event is on your Facebook page or wherever, on your website, wherever. The local radio allows you to speak directly to the people. So you can speak directly, intimately, as you'll see from one of the quotes I have coming up, to the people involved. So it allows you to become a local expert on your topic and be rolled out, if you like, regularly. Now, to the next slide, please. So this is it. The power of the radio is not that it speaks to millions, but that it speaks intimately and privately to each one of those millions. So now we'll move on to the next slot. Next slide. This is another quote in radio of 2 tools, sound and silence. Silence isn't used so much in radio unless you're doing a play because you need voices to keep going, but sound is definitely a factor. We get you to move on. I'm conscious of the time. Now, I'm going to do a little bit on this. I'm going to do it fairly fast on the tips for local radio. I'm just trying to see where I am here. So tips for local radio. So first of all, research your radio station, the local radio station beforehand. Go out and find out who stations are. Look at the programs, see what is the type of program that would interest you. What's the best type? In Athlone Community Radio, it will be Athlone Today because that's our magazine type show where we interview people. So if you have an event coming up, you research, you go and you contact them, you ring them, you talk to them, you listen to the radio, and you find a presenter, say if there's different presenters that you like and that you resonate with or that your customers resonate with, and that's who you talk to. Then you use all your Toastmaster skills, about preparing in advance, drawing up a list of questions, if you like, questions that they might ask you, you might want them to ask you, and rehearse your answers out loud. Really important to rehearse them out loud because you don't know if you're just thinking about them in your head, how they come out may not necessarily be how you've planned. And use the power of 3 in your answers. It really works, all that sort of stuff. So all of the Toastmasters is skilled, and I'm including in that gestures and things like that. But I think I've slide in that later. So tell them how you want to be introduced. You decide, well, you know, I'm presenter producer on Thursdays at Athlone Today show. That's what I might decide. But you tell them how you want to be produced so that you know I am X, Y, and Z, and I'm the program director for X, Y, and Z. You tell them and they will do it. The radio station will be perfectly happy to do it. So think about your audience, connect with them, see who are they, and direct your attention exactly like one of the Toastmasters skills to connect with your audience. So remember, it's not exactly about what your product is or what your thing is. It's about, like, it's not about Toastmasters. It's about learning confidence and leadership skills, that type of thing. Now, there's 2 different thoughts here. If you write out the answers to your questions and have them in front of you, it can be very secure, like a security blanket that you're holding to yourself. I have done that myself. But if you prepare talking points, have bullet points and know what you're going to say, it comes out more spontaneous and it sounds really well. It comes across. Whereas if you have the answers written out and then you have to read them, which sometimes it happens, but you're inclined to sound more robotic. So think about going for the other way, about talking points or bullet points. Prepare a closing statement. Like generally at an interview, I might say to somebody, well, please, do you have anything to say to our listeners? Any final message to our listeners, or anything to advise people who are listening in? And they will answer that. So if you have a closing statement yourself to round up whatever you're saying, have that ready. The format and location, is it going to be live or pre-recorded? There's a buzz off a live interview. There's a buzz off a live interview when they're in the studio. Not as much a buzz live on the phone, but there still is a buzz. Whereas if it's pre-recorded, there's much less of a buzz. But you know, if you know in advance, you can prepare for it. Now, appearance. You may say you have a face for radio. Why would it matter? But when you go into the station, you might want a picture taken of you on the station, an action picture where you're holding on to the mic or something. So definitely be ready and send in a picture yourself or get a picture there taken. Promote any interviews you have on social media. We go to the next slide. I'm really conscious of the time that we're moving fast here. So during the radio station, again, you'll see a lot of this is a reflection of the skills you've learned in Toastmasters, but be to the point. The most engaging interviews you're going to have, and an interviewer wants something engaging. They want a bit of fun. They want enjoyment. So they want a bit of banter if possible, or that there's a smile, something happens that you can smile during it. So speaking clearly, to the point, no one-word answers. So if you can go in with a clear idea of your top 3 points and maybe something you can't go away without saying. So you have 3 points to make, you keep them ahead, you make sure you mention them. And then if there's something else, you know, like say the event is on Saturday at 9:45 or whatever it is that you say, have that at the front of your mind. So now stand up if possible, and only if you're comfortable. A lot of times it's not suitable to stand up. Like I am sitting here, and a lot of the reason I'm sitting here is I can't see unless I'm close to the screen, which is why you're missing part of my face. So apologies for that. So if I'm too far away, I can't see. If I'm too close, I can't see. And if I have glasses on, I have to hold my head back to see. So now, as already mentioned, only do this if you're comfortable. If you're comfortable with being secure with your elbows on the table and relaxed, that's what you do. Go for wherever you're comfortable. So your Toastmaster skills, use them all. They all work. And as I said about gestures and smiling, it's radio, but it carries in your voice. You can hear it. If I smile, it could carry in my voice to whoever I'm talking to. So gestures, it adds energy to your voice. You know, so definitely don't forget about any of those things. Now, have fun and be spontaneous. Don't be too serious about it. It's not the end of the world. In 100 years' time, nobody will care if you've made a few small mistakes. They won't. Have fun, enjoy yourself. Tell yourself you're going to have fun. One of the mistakes sometimes people feel if they're going somewhere that they over-mention the purpose of being on the radio. Like the purpose of being allotted is entertainment and educational. So the interviewer should mention it at the start and should get you to mention it again at the end. And in the meantime, you talk about whatever the other points that you want to make. Now, noise, I'm sorry for going so fast here, but I want to try and get everything done because of the technical issues. But be aware of noise, like tapping. People tap to make their points. I don't know if you can hear it there. Or if they're wearing jewelry and shaking their head, their earrings bang off the headphones, or the jewelry makes noise on their wrists. Or there's our rustling of paper. If possible, you have it on a single sheet of paper. So just be aware of stuff like that. Even your clothing, take off your coat, wear softer clothing, because sometimes you have a coat and it's, you know, the incredible noise that's off the coat, you know, so just be aware of that. Now, don't worry about small mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. Every single time I'm on the radio, I'm going to make a mistake of one sort, shape, or size. It could be anything. If you've time, you can ask me about 1 or 2 mistakes I've made that were a bit bigger than that. But the bottom line is, if you make a mistake, use it as a topic for your next Toastmasters speech. Absolutely. use everything that goes wrong. Now, afterwards, then don't forget to ask. I ask people to ask me to get a photo. So to take a photo of them there. So use your photo on your social media. It's an activity. You're somewhere doing something, use it on your social media. Take the podcast, put it on your social media, send it to your friends. Context, when you're in the station or on the station, make sure you just don't get to chat to the person who interviewed you. Go out and chat to whoever you can, get their name so that they know you're a serious person about being interviewed. Feedback, if you get feedback from the podcast, let the station know, because we know we thrive on feedback. If we do something wrong, we can fix it. Otherwise, we can just bask in the warmth of appreciation. So as I said, if things go wrong, don't panic. Stuff goes wrong all the time. Use it in the future. If it goes on during, if it's small, correct it as you're going along. If it's nothing important, just carry on to the end. The show must go on. And as I mentioned already, use the experience in your next Toastmasters speech. So now what's the next slide that we have here? Now, there's 5 minutes left. So what I want to do is I want to get some people to volunteer. So I would like 2 people, one person to be the presenter and the other person to be the interviewee. And I want you to take on that role. So if we could get that, any volunteers? Sorry, no. Do we have anybody to volunteer here for this? Can I pick out 2 people as if it's table topics? So if I could pick out Patricia Foley, and if I pick out Elizabeth, if that is okay, Elizabeth.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. So you have 1 minute each. So Elizabeth, you're the presenter, so you're going to introduce the person and ask a question. Now, all you need to do is the name Patricia. You can make up anything else about the rest of it. I can give you a topic if you like. So I'll just give you a topic, but you're free to ask that question or another question. So the topic I'm giving you is, you're going to introduce a well-known community activist, and you understand they're moving into the area of blogging, and to get them to tell you about that.
Hello, Patricia. Hello, Patricia. Is Patricia there?
I am now. I was mute,
Okay.
which is unusual for me.
I'm delighted for you to come along to the radio station today. And I understand you're starting some blogging. Now, first of all, what exactly are you going to be doing?
Well, it's funny you should ask me that, because I just finished blogging. There's a project in Toastmasters where you have to write a compelling blog. Now, I did write a blog. How compelling it was, I couldn't actually tell you, but I had all of 10 followers, which went down to about 6 by the end of it, mainly because I didn't read the objectives. I was supposed to do all 8 posts in 1 month. Of course, I never read it, and it took me about 6 months to get through them, so they all got fed up waiting.
So you were talking about Toastmasters.
I was
Tell me about that.
It was entitled Toastmasters and My Life. So I actually used a lot of the things that I had used in Toastmasters. I used some experiences from my own life, like going back as a mature student to school, or almost winning the Housewife of the Year contest, except my cooking let me down, and things like that. So they were all on a humorous sort of vein.
That's why you're speaking so well on radio, because you're a Toastmaster.
Absolutely. I've been a Toastmaster now for 40 years. I
Wow.
went to it because an inspector came in to me when I was doing teaching practice and said to me, the children at the back have no idea what you're talking about. They can't hear you. So you would have to learn how to project your voice. And one of the teachers in the school happened to be in Toastmasters. I told her about it and she brought me along. and I'm here ever since.
I want to thank both of you for doing so well. Very, very genuine, very, very natural. You had a minute each roughly, 2 minutes between the two of you. So that was absolutely fantastic. Really well done. Very, very natural and conversational style.
Thank you.
So I'm going to move on and look for 2 more people. I'm going to, I think it's easier if I just check.
I'm going to
Could
have
I-
to go. Sorry. I'm going to have to go, but it's been fantastic. Thank you. We go over to Athlone a lot, by the way. And
Oh, do you?
I'd love to
Well-
come and see you.
Well, you're very, very welcome. We'd love
Where-
to see you there.
Yeah, so just
Um,
find out where you're based and
yeah,
come
well,
along and see you.
Yeah, well, if you message Elizabeth, she will pass on my email.
Okay.
I will.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
That's been great.
Thank
Now,
you.
I think we
Thanks,
might make another 2 people if that's okay. So I'm
We,
going
we
to pick
can, we can, Diedre. I would
and-
say keep going. I'll tell you when
Yeah.
to stop, because I think this is really excellent practice for people. So just keep
Okay.
going.
So Andrew, we'd pick Andrew Jones and Helen Spillane. So Andrew, if you don't mind, you're the presenter and you are going to interview Helen. And just to give you the topic, now you can pick your own topic or you could pick this topic. In Australia, they're considering making it mandatory to keep cats indoors at all times in an effort to protect biodiversity. And you're going to say to Helen that you understand that she has strong feelings about this. Helen, you can choose your answer.
Okay.
Hi, Helen. Yes, I understand you've got a position on the subject. In Australia, they're thinking of making cats stay indoors. Owners keep cats indoors so that it doesn't impact on local wildlife. How would you feel about that in Ireland or the UK or Europe?
I think that this is definitely something to take into consideration, because obviously, well, I suppose it's in cats' nature to let them out, but you have no control over where they go. So it's definitely something that I would have been against at one time, but now maybe it's something that we need to look at even for the bird population, because you need to protect them as well in today's society. So while I would have been very against it, I'm now thinking maybe there is something in it, because I was talking to people who came home from Africa recently, and they brought home their 2 cats with them. And they said that they keep them in because of the bird population, but they have obviously the scratching posts and all the different things that you need to occupy them. And they said it's working quite well. So I suppose it's like, sorry, that's my dog now, who's objecting to me talking about cats. But I think that it would depend on the cat as well. I know some cats would just go mad altogether if they had to stay inside. So
yeah, I had a situation a few years back where one of my neighbours next door, but 2 from my house, he came round on a Sunday morning and knocked the door and said, I understand that your cat he's been attacking my bantams, and he was pretty upset about it. And my wife, well, actually, it was my wife who answered the door and was talking to him, and he was pretty furious. And she said, "How do you know it's my cat?" And he said, "He's a cocky fellow, and he's white with tortoise shell markings." And she said, yes, because he said he's a cocky fellow. And I said to my wife, she's about to launch into it about, well, this is the, how do you know it's him? And actually, I said, Julie, stop it. I've looked at him, I've seen him, and he's got peck marks all over his snout. And so it was bang to right. So I can understand that. And obviously, I was scared that my neighbour might shoot him or something like that. And he said, "No, I won't do that." But I ended up buying a bird scare, a cat scarer, the thing that emits sonic rays, sonic sounds, and it kept him away. Yeah, and I can see that entirely, but cats are cats. But I guess the other side is, you know, road safety. You know, cats can get run over as well. I had another cat who's still alive, but she got run over, and she had to have a jaw rewired and stuff like that. So, you know, it works both ways, doesn't it, really?
And Andrew and Helen, thank you very much for taking part in that. That was great interaction and banter between you, and both reaffirming each other's contribution. Have we time for another two people? I was thinking of Kieran and Mary.
We do. We have another one. I think we can have another. We may even mention another two, actually.
Okay, great. Okay, so Kieran, you are the presenter, and you are going to interview Mary. And Mary is a parent, and she's unhappy with the current curriculum in her local school, and she's decided to homeschool her children. So you are going to ask her all about that.
Hi, Mary. I'm delighted you were able to come on our show today. And I understand that you're really unhappy about the curriculum and are going to homeschool your children. And of course, that's your option. Maybe you could tell us what are the main reasons for you wanting to do the children at home rather than at school?
Thank you, Kieran. Yes, I have decided that this is the only option for my children. I'm not content with the way they're being taught in school. I don't like the way the teachers are dealing with some of the bullying that's going on. It's a pity, but really they're not happy. And I'm quite happy to bring them home, teach them at home. I'm a teacher myself. I know and understand the curriculum. I have the books, I have the knowledge, I have the ability. And let's face it, it's going to save me a lot of time driving them into school and then back in to collect them. We're going to have a good time. We can go up into the forest and we can do forest games. We can collect pine cones. We can look for squirrels. We can do lots of things, and we can be learning at the same time. Well, and I can bring them to sports as well. I think it'll be good.
No, I understand what you're saying, Mary, but do you not think one of the biggest things that children learn at school are to be social and to deal with other children and, you know, to win and to lose? When they're at home, they're not interacting with other children of their own age, and they lose that quite a lot, Mary. I mean, I'm not so sure that that you're making the right decision, but presumably you've discussed it with some people who have already homeschooled their children, and you have their experience to dwell on, have you?
Yes, indeed, I have. I have one family in particular that I've been speaking to.
Kieran and Mary, I'm sorry to interrupt because I'm just very conscious of time and the red light has shown up here. So it was such a shame to interview that, to interrupt that interview.
No, it was a huge thing because Mary has a lot to offer. It was really, she had a lot to offer there if you'd given another 10 minutes. Because I know
absolutely, I could go on for another 10 easily.
Now, the last two people, then I think Elizabeth, you said we could have two people more. And I'm not 100%.
I was thinking of two people, but in actual fact, we can now be really into the Q&A. So we've got a choice. Perfect, yeah. I think it's just great to ask you some questions, and because we're about nearly 20 past. So I think a Q&A session before we wrap up will be quite helpful. So do you want to stop, Cameron, do you want to stop sharing, and then we can see Diedre and we can start asking questions?
Can I ask Diedre a question?
Of course, of course you can.
Diedre, how do you feel about us taking time off to present top tips and finding that it took you 20 minutes to get your screen up on the board when you weren't ready? I would have thought the reason I'm into this is that I'm on Athlone, I think coming up about 3 weeks from now. That's why I tuned in. And to find that you're not actually ready to give us the top tips. How do you feel about that this evening?
Kieran, you're actually absolutely right. There is no excuse for it. I can only plead life happens and stuff goes wrong, and you can't always, you know, a little bit like during my presentation, sometimes even when things go wrong, you just have to get on with it. And it's the sort of thing I will use in the future table topics or speech at some point. But leaving that aside, from a professional point of view, it should not happen. And I would, there is what mea culpa, there's absolutely nothing I can say about it except that it shouldn't happen, and I was completely wrong.
And on a positive note, can I say that I really enjoyed, and I was wondering if you can send us a copy of those who were viewed in tonight of your slide presentation, because you made some very good points, which I would like to take on board.
Absolutely, yeah. I'll send them to Elizabeth if she wants to distribute them.
Mm. I have a question. Also, the recording, Karen, would be available, so you can watch the whole thing and you see all the slides and get a question. But my question to Diedre is this: radio is very immediate, because when you're on, you're on. How do you control the nerves so that when they say you're live, you're ready? How does one control that?
One of the things that I like about, say, community radio is I run the desk, as well as I'm in total charge of what happens. From my side, I can turn the person down or up. I'm in charge. I run the desk. I put on the music. I have, when I go in, say, to go directly to your question, when I'm perfectly ready and prepared with my running order completed and all the times down, again, it's only approximation because stuff happens, I usually get quite nervous. I get worried. I'm ahead of target. Things are, you know, I'm exactly ready to go and I have another 5 or 10 minutes to go. That's when I get bothered and nervous. Mostly when I arrive in, I sit down, I sit in while the other presenter is just finishing off. And as soon as they get up off the desk, I slide into the desk, sit in front of the software, and I line up all the stuff. Like my program will start off with news. So I have the news sting, I have the weather sting, and I have the news outro. And then I have the sponsor for the program. And then I have Thursday's Athlone Today Show, the sting for it. And then I line up things as they go along there. So I don't have time to be afraid or anything like that, because I have just to get on with it. And before, I've just said, well, it's now what, the 30th of March, it's 9:20. This is, we're going to have X, Y, and Z on the program. And then before I know it, I'm playing the music for our local artists, and then I have to ring to get my person here beside me. So I ring them and I said, I'll be talking to you in just 1 minute, and I put them on hold, I put it down, and then I check everything is going, that the minute when they're finished, that I have something else going to happen immediately afterwards, so I'm not left with blank air. So the bottom line, my whole point here is there is no time. You're just busy, you're kept on going, and before you know it, the program is over. And that is the same thing when people are coming in to be interviewed. I try and talk to them if I can, but if I'm too busy because I have to get stuff lined up and tick about whether things worked or not, or just my running order, if I can, I will talk to them and make them comfortable, but I'll encourage them to come and sit in the studio so they can relax and see what's happening, so that they have a bit of time to comfort. I had somebody in recently who meditated. When I looked over at her, her eyes were closed and she was meditating while she was waiting. So if you're afraid, you use the same things you do in Toastmasters. You're breathing, you relax, you have something in front of you. Like I would often have the security blanket with the things down on it. I have the security blanket of my running order. I don't know, you'll hardly see there, it's hardly worthwhile showing it to you. But so that I won't remember the names of anybody. You know, I'm very likely to forget them. Like I had a Minister of State at the Department of Enterprise, Trade and Employment with special responsibility for employment affairs and retail, blah, blah. And there was more on it. And then his name, you know, so there's no way that I would remember that, you know. So for me, I have to have something in front of me with writing telling me who I'm talking to, what their role is and what the event is about.
Wonderful. Any other questions for Diedre? Don't forget, we have the privilege of having her with us today. Chance to ask all those wonderful questions. So please, who's next with your question? Moira.
Well,
question, please.
Thank you very much for the presentation. I really love it. The question that I had for you is, what makes a good radio personality?
One, I suppose there's a number of things. One, you have to be yourself, who you are, the type of person that you are. You know, there's no point in pretending. Nobody will be fooled, and the enthusiasm and who you are won't shine. You are the right radio presenter because you are being you as much as you possibly can. Now, that's to one side. The second middle part is you have to be professional. So you're not allowed to show your bias unless it's part of the program. So if say, for instance, taking the cats, if I was very much against cats being inside and whatever, and I'm interviewing somebody, I cannot afford to let the person know, but I can say something like, well, what do you say for people who believe that all cats should be allowed out free to roam the world? That's what they're meant for, you know, but you keep your own view out of it, but you can ask the controversial question. So if you're relaxed, if you're smile, if I make a mistake, which I have, as I said, I say every single day I'm on the radio, I make a mistake. You can hear this laugh and smile in my voice. You know, it adds to it. You know, it means we're human. Stuff goes wrong. You know, and we get on with it. You know, so it's the banter. It's being relaxed. It is being professional. And as a presenter, my role is to make the other person comfortable, particularly in community radio. So if they are fumbling or are unsure of where to go, it's my job to step in. You know, so there's so many things. Definitely try it. It's fun.
Cameron, you have your hand up.
Yes. I was just wondering, how easy is it to set up a radio station and things?
To set it up?
Yeah, you need a lot of money for the equipment and things like that, or?
Well, it's a difficult job without a doubt, but to set up a community radio station, the BAI in Ireland, Broadcasting Authority of Ireland, are very supportive. Now they're changing their name as well. I can't remember what their new name is, but they're very supportive. But you have to get community engagement for a community radio station. So you have to get interested people. So what I suppose the first step would be to find the nearest community radio station to you and get them to take part in it, because we currently are on our second 10-year license, but before that we had lots of shorter licenses. So, you know, we might have had a 6 months license. Some people have a, you know, just for special events license, and they gradually work their way up, because you have to, there's quite onerous terms and conditions. You can get good grants and it can cover payments for staff. You have to have board of directors. You have to do all the usual criteria for employing people. So it's, you know, there's quite a lot involved in it, but definitely first step is to approach a radio station that's not too far away, particularly a community radio.